Good morning, ladies. It is Thursday, May 21st. Really quickly, before we read our learning target, I just wanted to show you this chart. So we have polygons, which have at least 3 angles, which we're going to talk about today, actually. Straight sides, so they all have straight sides. It's a closed shape. They're all closed in. And they're 2D shapes, so you can't see anything else. Then we have quadrilaterals. They have 4 sides, 4 angles, and 4 vertex, which we'll be talking about today as well. We have different shapes in our quadrilaterals. So this is a trapezoid, which has 4, parallelogram, which has the 4 sides, 4 angles, and 4 vertex, and then we have an arrow. Where in polygons, we have the triangle, pentagon, octagon, hexagon. Now a quadrilateral can go into both categories. A quadrilateral has 4 sides, 4 angles, and 4 vertex, but it's also a polygon because it has straight sides, it's a closed shape, and it has more than 3 angles, and it's a 2D shape. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that quick. That's a good reference. If you ever need to pause this video, you can do that. But now we will get started on today's lesson. All right, so again, today is Thursday, May 21st. We are on Module 8, Lesson 5. And your learning target says, I can relate the square to the cube and describe the cube based on attributes. So there's a lot of different things we're going to be doing today. The first thing I wanted to talk about was what I mentioned before, and we're going to talk about angles first. So here we go. So you have a piece of paper. I have a flashcard. Okay, so you just want this. It could be a normal piece of paper too. So as long what you want is just the corner of the paper. So make sure that you didn't cut it or anything, but it's just a paper. So I'm going to use my flashcard. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the piece of paper to find the right angle. So a right angle is going to be an angle that's 90 degrees. In order to find out if it's a right angle, you can line up your index card or your piece of paper with the corner of your object. And if your piece of paper fits in this shape, just like mine does right here, that's going to mean that it's a right angle. Okay, so this side lines up with the side on the flashcard, and then this side on the bottom lines up with the side on the flashcard. It fits perfectly, okay? And I could do that to this side. Again, it still fits, still fits, still fits. Now, if I go over here to this shape and I try to put my flashcard into this shape, let's see what happens. So I'm going to try to line it up. Try to move it around, see if I can get it to fit. Do you see how it's not lining up? No matter how I put it, it's not fitting. These angles, see, it lines up there, but it's not lined up with the other side. So this is not a right angle. And when we have right angles, back to this shape, we're going to label them like a box. So this object, or this square, has 4 right angles in it. And all squares have 4 right angles in them, where this shape does not have any right angles. All right, so let's try 2 more. And I'm going to try my best to use my ruler because it helps me, of course. Oops. Just try my best here. So there's one shape I'm going to do. And the other shape is going to look like this. Okay, I didn't do that bad. Just trying my best. Okay, so remember to focus on these two shapes on the bottom. Get my flashcard or your piece of paper, whatever you have at home out, that has this angle, this right angle in it, and line it up. Does it work? Looks like it works to me. So that means that these angles are 90 degrees. Now if I go to my next shape, right here, I'm looking at the top angle right now in this shape. So this looks like it could be, but look how this side goes up at a slant. So that's not a right angle. Let's try this side. See how it's not lining up like this lines up? So that's not a right angle either. But let's check the bottom. Oh, do you see how those line up? So that's a right angle. And so is that. They line up with the index card. Very nice. So now, what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to get rid of these for right now. So, of course, if you need it, pause the video. But I want to focus on this rectangle right here. And I'm going to make these lines a little darker. And I want you to focus on these lines. What can you tell me about these lines? I made them dark so you could focus on them. So this line and this side. What could you tell me? What do you notice about these sides of this quadrilateral? There's your vocabulary. What do you notice? Maybe you notice that they're straight lines. Or maybe you notice that they look like the same size. You can also say that these lines will never touch. So if I were to draw a line going all the way up and all the way down as far as I could and pretend it keeps going, they would never touch. And we call those lines, when they never touch like this, we call them parallel. Parallel lines. Okay, so when lines that do not cross or touch each other, they're parallel. All right? So now I'm going to try to draw a few more parallel lines so you guys can practice that. Okay, so I drew two new shapes and I want to see if they're parallel. I'm going to write the word so we remember what the word is. Put that in your brain. It's parallel. When two lines do not cross or touch. So if and I always do this if questions ask me, oh, is this shape have parallel lines? This is what I do. I draw pretend, or I actually really draw them and see if they're gonna touch each other. Those don't look like they're gonna touch. And neither do those. Let's see this shape. Uh-oh. Oops, my arrow. Those look like they're gonna cross, and they did cross right here. See how they're not crossing here at all? They're not touching each other. They keep going straight. So this shape is parallel, where this shape is not. So that's something else that we're going to do. This lesson's very long. There's a lot going on. I'll try to put a review at the end of what we talked about. Because now we're going to jump into cubes, like your learning target said. It said you can relate square to the cube. So a cube is going to be a three-dimensional object. Ooh, and actually I'm going to show you a cube. So here we go. All right, so this right here is a cube. So I know there's a baseball inside of it. I'm honestly not sure how to open it, so we're not going to do that. But it's a cube. Do you see how this is three-dimensional. Like I'm physically touching it. This is a cube, okay? So in this flat surface, if you're just seeing this part, you can see a square. If I flip it, you can see another square, right? So cubes are made out of squares. And it makes a three-dimensional shape with all of those cubes. Okay? So this right here is called the face. This is a face. This is a face. This is a face. The side of the cube is a face, the face of the cube. Okay? So let's count how many squares or how many faces are in the cube. So let's start here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Then I have the bottom, that's 5, and the top, that's 6. So there's 6 faces to this cube. So that's our cube. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to teach you how to draw a cube. So here we go. What you're going to do first is draw a square. And just try your best. It's tricky. Okay? So then you're going to draw a right angle over the top of that square. Notice how I didn't come all the way down or go all the way over, just a right angle. And then you take your pencil, or in this case my marker, and you connect this angle to your line. And go straight back. Like at a diagonal, kind of. And that will be your cube. So what else you have to do to see the whole thing, and I'm going to draw this dotted lines because you wouldn't normally be able to see this. So that would be your whole cube. They're tricky and it takes some practice, so if you have to watch this video a few times to get the hang of it. But that's your cube, and you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, so you have to think of it as a 3D object, and then 5 on the bottom and 6 on top, just like the cube that I showed you in my baseball. Okay? So now I'm going to do a little bit of a review for you ladies, and be right back. All right, so for the top, you're going to label the right angles that you see in number 1, number 2, and number 3. And you're also going to then go back and label the parallel lines that you see for number 1, number 2, and number 3. So I just drew little pictures. We labeled them like this, where we extended the lines to see if these two sides would touch. And then for your right angle, it's like a little box in the corner. And then practice drawing a cube. I know it's difficult. It can be frustrating, but take your time and just practice, okay? Remember that cubes are made up of squares. And then, of course, for extra practice, go to Zern. So your teachers can see how you're doing with your lessons and see maybe what you need help with or what you're doing really well. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.